Welcome to the YCNU podcast. Join us each week for engaging conversations with campus leaders, students, faculty, staff, alumni, and community members. From academics to athletics, campus life, and beyond, we cover it all. Have someone you want to hear from? Let us know. Let's explore the world of Yavapai College together.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the YCNU podcast. I'm Cadu Medina, your host for today's episode, and I'm here with chefs Tony Burris and Amiee Novak from the Eatery here at Yavapai College. How are you guys doing today?
Good morning, Cadu.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're here at the Eatery, as a matter of fact, with a little coffee, and I'm going to hold you guys hostage here for just a minute or two to tell us all about this special place here. Can you guys... Let's start with a little introduction. Tell us a little bit about your background and your role here at Yavapai College.
I'll let Amiee start.
Okay.
Ladies first.
Thank you. My name is Amiee Novak. I'm the executive director here at the Eatery. And I guess the department, the full name of the department is Executive Director of Culinary Experiences.
Wow.
So,
Love it.
yes. And I was brought on, it was a year August that I was brought in here to reimagine campus dining. My background, I was a chef owner of a local restaurant called Soldi, downtown Prescott, for several years. And then I went into another direction and became food safety program coordinator for the University of Arizona Cooperative Extension. And I did that for several years. And I ended up here at YC and grateful for the opportunity.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm Tony Burris. I'm the director of Culinary Experiences. My background is I graduated in 2007 from culinary school, worked in Tucson for a little bit, and then I moved back up here to Prescott. I worked in a bunch of local restaurants, 129 and a half. I worked at Barley Hound. I was part of the Vivoli hospitality group for a little while. I also have been a CrossFit coach, a strength and conditioning coach for many years. And so the two really worked well together for me throughout that time. I do some private chefing on the side for private dinners. And then about a year ago, I think Amiee jokingly, I jokingly mentioned to Amiee when she told me that she was doing this, that it sounded like it was going to be a big project and she needed help. And with no intentions behind that, she offered to take me to lunch one day and made a serious offer, and I accepted, and here I am.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
The two most popular chefs in town come together to come save us here, because you guys, you probably know that I think that the restaurant that we had here before wasn't really kind of pleasing everyone. We had some struggles with it, and with both of you behind the wheels, I mean, you turned this place around significantly. And
Yeah.
I'm going to let you tell the whole story of how this all happened, because I know the story is cool, and it wasn't without a lot of work, because it took a while for you guys to build what we have here now at the Eatery. So tell me a little bit about that inspiration behind the Eatery, right? What inspired you to create this place, and how did you envision it serving the campus community? Because this is not like running in a restaurant. You know, you're inside a college, but it's not just for the students. It's also for the staff. It's also for the community.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a bigger, I would assume, like a bigger project to put together, right?
Yeah, I think little did we know how big and different it was going to be to us in our past experience. And I think that what's so fun about it is that we get to touch a lot more people and showcase, the direction that Amiee has put forth for the department. Mm-hmm. And our staff is on board with it as well. And that has made a huge difference in the last year, is that the more people that kind of buy into what our goals and our pillars are for the department. If we didn't have the staff, it would just be her and I, and we would probably run ourselves into the ground. So
I bet it is. Well, you both come from original concepts. Like I think this is in the hospitality industry, this is a concept that we kind of throw around, right? It's not just your typical, burger joint, the franchise or this and that. You've both come from really unique original concepts. So is that where you draw the inspiration for putting this together?
Yes. So I think credit needs to start with the executive leadership team here at Yavapai College. They saw an opportunity to change the way campus dining was here for everybody, students, faculty, staff. And when I started discussing with some of the executive leadership team, their inspiration and what they were looking for, it really aligned with what I was doing in my restaurant at Soldi. I was trying to focus on local food and sustainable practices. And when we started discussing what this was going to look like in the future, the idea came to put forth 3 pillars. And one big ask from the leadership team was nutrition forward food, not only for athletic performance, but academic performance. And you can take it one step further to social and emotional well-being. That could all be tied to good nutrition. So that was their ask. And that's what started the program in general for us to expand on that. And the 3 pillars we put forth is nutrition forward food, and then local seasonal food. And there's 3 definitions of local that we can get into later that defines that, and then sustainable practices within that commercial kitchen.
Oh, that's great. As a matter of fact, my next question for you was going to be something in that area. I think we can develop that nutrition concept a little bit. So how did you identify these nutritional or dietary preferences for the students, staff, faculty when you were developing the menu? And what's the thought process behind identifying these preferences?
I'll let Tony speak on that.
Geez.
Yes.
I think with our experience and the ever evolving, people's diets are changing a lot, and people have allergies and people have certain requests. And with our experience, we knew that coming into the project. And so with that nutritional piece, we wanted to be able to offer it to everybody. There's vegan options, there's vegetarian options, there's carnivore options, there's gluten-free options. We're hyper aware of allergies and certain dietary requests. Our staff is super hyper aware of it too, and very accommodating to those kind of requests. The nutritional part kind of falls into the local seasonal part of it as well. When we eat things that are at their peak in the season, they have way more nutritional value to them. And so the inspiration comes from that pillar, those 2 pillars, is that the nutritional piece and the seasonal piece need to move and develop the menu. So we look at what's available in spring and summer and fall, and those menus will change according to those seasons. And that will help bring that nutritional value to those dishes or to those menu items without having to really push it on them. Because it's what's available, that's what we're going to serve. I think the big piece of it, what I really love is the difference between over-processed food versus food from scratch. So a lot of our menu items, 80% of our menu items are made from scratch. Everything from our pastry items to our smash burgers to salads. All that stuff is, the dressings are made from scratch. Like all those things make a big difference when you're eating them, you know, and providing them to people.
And in both of your restaurants, by the way, you know, from what I know, you two, and I've experienced your restaurants and your style of cooking. I mean, you've always done this, right? This has always been at the forefront of your practice. I mean, that's how you do it and what you do it.
Yeah. No, I mean, Amiee has been a person in lead of focusing on local food since her days back in Soldi. I participated in the farmers market a lot, worked with local farmers when I was at the Barley Hound. We're both on the board of directors for the farmers market. So we're, it's not just something we do for our, you know, to put on a resume. It's something that we actually like truly believe in.
Yeah.
I'm sure this sourcing food when you are making it from scratch and you're tapping into each season and getting the best from that season, that's not an easy thing, right? How do you guys handle your sourcing? I'm sure this is the hard part.
It is the hard part. Yeah. With my background in food safety, there are a lot of hoops that we have to jump through with our health department to be able to source locally. So we're in the middle of that mess right now. And what we're trying to do is, when we talk about food miles and nutrition and all of that, Tony's right. It is inherently more nutritious if you're cooking within the season, but also you have to take in consideration the food miles for it to get there. Mm-hmm. So if we're sourcing from Florida, they are picking it before it's ripe to travel across the United States to get here. So that degrades the nutrition. It's not allowed to fully ripen on the vine, so to speak. And then it also, it takes away the flavor, which is what every chef is really after when we're trying to cook food. So when we think about sourcing locally, there's 3 definitions. It could be within the state, so the state of Arizona. Regionally, another definition is less than 420 miles from origin. Mm-hmm. And then you get into hyperlocal, which is 100 miles or less from origin. So when you think about all of that, we are poised perfectly, I think, to really take advantage of produce and local food from California, from New Mexico, we even dip down into parts of the Sonoran Desert in Mexico and Arizona. So we look at the Four Corners region and we can source a lot of our food. Interestingly enough, right now, I'd like to highlight that we are right smack in the middle of the winter lettuce capital of the world, as 90% of the country's seasonal leafy greens comes from Yuma.
Wow.
So it's easy right now. When it gets warmer, it's actually harder for us because we don't have access to as much produce.
Yep.
Because it gets hotter. So right now we're loving the capability.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. And when that seasonality is happening, can we see the impact in the current menu that you have right now? I mean, can we track, like this is what it's in season right now, this is what's closest to us, and then you guys immediately integrate that into the menu, just really take advantage of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can see a lot more heartier greens, root vegetables right now, especially when we come back after winter break. Mm-hmm. You'll see more root vegetable-like stuff.
Nice.
But those, like what Amy's saying, those heartier leafy greens, the kales, the spinach, cabbage, like those things they'll appear. If they're not on the menu now, they'll be showing their faces on January for sure.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Two other things to note of where we're getting our product from. And Tony will talk a little bit more about the composting program that we've set up with the Agriculture Center out at the Chino Valley campus. But we are sourcing some of our produce, tomatoes, cucumbers, and lettuce from our own backyard, so to speak, with the Ag Center producing that for us. And then when you talk about sourcing locally, there's a lot of things you need to consider. Can they produce the amount that we need, which is a staggering amount of food that goes through here? Some of our smaller local farms can't do that yet. So us reaching out within the state is going to give us the amount that we need. And a notable contact that we have made, an actual producer, it took us 9 months to finally get Hayden Flour Mills flour in our eatery.
Wow.
And they are down south in the Phoenix, Glendale area. And one step further to show our intent on this sustainability piece is we were able to facilitate them to ship through Cisco, which is a major supplier. And that has not only allowed us access to their flour, but it has allowed the whole state access to their flour because of our efforts to get them on a larger supplier. So that was a partnership that we really celebrated.
Wow, that's great. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So the strategy is local first, and then you kind of expand that depending on how demand, increases and all that. But you definitely kind of start locally.
Yeah.
And this is really cool. And also the partnerships that you're creating. I mean, your ability to kind of create relationship with some of these smaller producers, kind of help them kind of move up to the next level of distribution. And this is super cool. Well, changing from food to the space now, because this is always my favorite part of this restaurant. It just feels great in here, and the audience, if you haven't had a chance to come and check it out, please do. It's going to blow your mind. It's really different from anything you can possibly imagine as far as a college cafeteria. It's nothing like that. It feels like one of this modern, eatery space anywhere you would find. Tell me a little bit about the design choices. What were some of the design elements you prioritized when creating this physical space for the eatery?
Oh gosh. Well, this happened over last winter break. And so we actually kind of fell into this one. It was already planned and designed as far as I remember, right?
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah, the executive leadership team was working on this before I came in, but we made a couple tweaks to add to the space.
Yeah. And I think, it's from what it was kind of just, not up to date to what it is now. It's a big, it's been a big change. And, there's music now in the background. There's, the design, the colors are fit along with the YC kind of green theme, but also just enough difference to make you feel comfortable. It's light in here. I know that was a big thing for us, was like the more natural light, and how you can showcase that is better feeling.
Right.
And setting up the ability to plug in multiple places and actually work here.
I was just going to say that.
Yes.
And the students probably love this space because it's got that, I hate to bring the big brands here, but it feels like a little Starbucks type of, feel. Like it's a place where you can come eat, but also work and spend some time here comfortably. It's not the kind of thing where you grab your food, eat as quickly as possible and get out, and you need to leave. No, this is very accommodating. You got couches, you have tables, and, the seats are comfortable, and you have a really good flow to get your food, come out, and then sit down and have your meal and continue to do work for the rest of the day. So it's a space that the students use not just to come get their food, but to actual, mingle, do work and
hang out. Yeah. People, staff members can come up and have meetings and that kind of thing. That's what, it's great seeing the students hanging out, but you get used to that. And so it's always nice when you say, like when I run into you and I'm like, what are you doing here? And
right.
Well, I have a meeting. It's a great feeling.
Or like right now, recording a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
That? We can do all these things. Have you guys seen much of community members kind of coming out? Because I know that initially we were trying to figure out a way to let the community know that this is an inviting space. It's not just for students, staff, and faculty, but community too.
Yeah. I think there's I feel like it could grow bigger with community members. But I do feel like there are, with people that Amiee knows and I know, just even our close friends, we've invited them up. And I know in the fall last year, there was a group of people that would come in and just hang out. They would eat and then they would start playing games. They'd have once a couple weeks game night. And they, what they really loved about it was that there was no table turning. They could actually just hang out and not feel pressured to leave, like you were saying. And they also love the fact that it was I don't know if this is appropriate to say, but we're a dry campus, right? So we don't offer alcohol drinks. It's not a loud establishment. It's very calm. It's very peaceful. And you can hold a conversation or host a podcast like without being distracted by noises or people being like, hey, I need that table kind of thing.
Yeah.
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 This is really cool. Just out of curiosity, because I'm sure that everyone wonders this, what does a day look like for you here at the Eatery? What, operation-wise, walk us through a typical day at the Eatery. What are some of the challenges you face regularly? Just kind of,
I'm not sure if
give us a little overview.
I'll let Amiee speak because she is the fearless leader that has really helped launch this into what it is, and her daily operations are a lot different than what I see and what I do. But I was thinking just a little bit ago that this is why we work so well together, is that she's very, very good at the office stuff. Like she's very organized and very driven, where that's my weakness. And I think we bounce off well together because I can go into the kitchen, take what she is asking and apply it to the staff. Right. But I'll let her speak to her daily operations.
Well,
this is actually good that you guys are a good partner, right? That you have complementary skills that come into place. Because again, it's not easy to run the whole operation, I'm sure, alone. And I'm glad that you guys are too. But tell me, Amiee, what does your day look like when you walk in here?
I'm probably going to pass it back to you because your day seems to be more exciting than mine. Like people want to know about the cooking part and all of that, but when we came on, we basically likened this project to building an airplane while it's flying. And
it's a good analogy.
Yeah. And we're still here, interestingly enough. But every day is different right now because we are building an incredible thing here. And there are so many avenues right now that we're exploring to make this program complete. So every day looks a little different. It might be putting together a market basket so that we can go through procurement to get a local supplier. It might be looking at grants that will help us increase our sustainability efforts. Dialing in our processes, creating menus, making sure that the chefs know what food is in season right now and taking advantage of that. We do 4 major menu changes throughout the year. summer, spring, fall, and winter.
Right.
So we completely flip the menu and offer all brand new things. Number one, just to keep with that seasonality. But number two, how boring would it be for all of you to eat the same menu items over and over again? And it would be boring for our team to cook it. And that is really what fueled me to do it in my restaurant. I couldn't imagine cooking the same thing day in and day out. So all of that to say, when you want to hear about something interesting in the back of the house where Tony's being the orchestra director, he can talk about what his day looks like.
Well, I think to Amy's credit too, her chef coat hangs on her door. So at a moment's notice, she can jump in and
Perfect. Yeah.
help out wherever is needed when that help's needed. And so, the daily operations of the kitchen, I try to just check in with the staff. We have a pastry section. We have people doing prep work. We have the guys working on I shouldn't say guys and girls working on the line and all those things. We're still in our infancy. And like what Amy's saying is just, in most restaurants outside of this kind of community, private restaurants, it takes 2-3 years for it to actually establish itself, right? And so,
I bet.
like Amy's saying, like it's constantly changing. One day we could be in our office for a full day. The next day, we could be out helping our catering chefs or jumping in on the line when it's a busy, it's completely different than what it is outside of here. Right. Monday through Wednesday, Thursday are probably our busiest days, where Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's a little bit quieter. Students go home or athletes go on games. Staff's not here on the weekends. Like it's
totally different than a restaurant scene.
No, I
because most restaurants gear up for the Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Like we're all knowing that we're going to be stressed for 2 days, but it's opposite here. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, restaurants, I think in general, kind of work on efficiencies. So processes are really important, right? And you can bring those processes in, test them out. But because you are constantly evolving, constantly adapting type of structure here, you can't just stick with that one process from beginning to end, right? That process is what's evolving throughout this whole process here to accommodate all the changes that you have to make. And I can imagine, that this is a daily thing. This is part of your routine too. Like what kind of change do we have to make today to accommodate whatever we're integrating into our menu, into our process or events that are happening. We have new students coming in all the time.
Yep.
And I'm sure that kind of impacts you as well. We have new degrees and programs, which increases the amount of people that are coming to the restaurant.
It's crazy. And, and I think that's part of the mentality of people that work in the service industry. There's probably some sort of weird dopamine response that happens, even though when you're like so frustrated, but you always come back because it's not
true.
Just,
you can't get out.
You can't get out.
It's like a vortex.
Yeah.
I love it.
But
I love that you guys love it.
Yeah. And I think what it is like, we're addicted to the service of others. And so when we have to be adaptable to that change. We have to be able to be on our feet and think quick. No different than how are you, like if you're working on a line and you have to finish a sauce a la minute and you don't have any butter, like what are you going to do to change? You got to figure it out. You can't just take it off the menu. Right. And I think it's that I don't know. There's
like playing jazz. You constantly
you just
adapting, adjusting, improvising.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
great.
You have to make it happen.
Yeah.
The music
Yes.
has to happen.
Yes.
I don't know what chords I'm going to throw in this composition here, but we're going to make the music happen.
Yep.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
I love your analogy better though. Airplane on the fly. We'll figure out how to fly this thing as you're taking off.
As we're building it.
Sometimes when we feel like we're about 10 feet from the ground, but we pull back up.
But you're not on the ground.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, you guys have been into this for a year now, almost, right? Has it been a year?
January.
January.
Will be a year.
Feedback is good. you think students are loving it? You guys are loving it?
Yeah, I think so. I think the feedback that we do get has been really positive, and even the constructive feedback has been positive.
Yeah.
And that speaks to the volume of the ELT team and their support, and the support of the staff and faculty, and even the students. I mean, everybody's been really supportive in this institution's idea to make this change.
Right.
And so, I don't know. That's like that's what makes us
Keep going.
Keep going. Yeah.
Well, speaking of keep going, what are some of the goals here for the Eatery in the next few years? Are there plans for menu expansions or special events? Anything that you guys are cooking in the kitchen? No pun intended. As far as plans go.
Boss, I'll let you speak.
Well, I have a couple of things that I am directly working on, and then Tony has a couple of things he's working on. So future plans as far as growth, I'm working right now with the science club or the science department to start a sustainability club for the campus. And we're both coming in at different avenues as far as sustainability. The science club has been working on a battery recycling program, and then our recycling has more to do with recycling and then capturing compost so that we can send it out to the ag center and they can use it to do their work out there. So that's one thing that we're working on. Another thing is working on with community partners on developing an infrastructure in our county for a community-wide composting program. At this time, Yavapai County does not have the infrastructure to support it. The farmers market is making a dent in it, the Prescott Farmers Market, where they do offer to collect community compost, but they are quickly running out of room. And so we believe that if we join forces and make a community compost available, not only will it help reduce greenhouse gases and everything good in that arena, but ideally, could we offer inexpensive compost to our local growers and help them grow better?
Wow.
And so
That's great.
Reaching out in our community that way is really important for us. Mm-hmm. And then Tony can talk about his projects. We have several, but that's two notable.
These are amazing.
Yes.
Does that, this is the type of project that I can see this having some kind of collaboration and integration with our faculty and our programs here, the sciences that we offer to students. I mean, is that where this possibly is going to go? And
yes,
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Such a cool thing.
I think as we zoom out on the project, I think our vision is to see it as that, as a once a week drop off, and it's everybody from the city of Prescott and everybody on campus to people. It's just, we want it to be a big thing. And, there's so many great things that come with composting. Like Amy's saying, being able to distribute it to small time farmers, that it's a less cost for them when they're paying lots of money to compost or buy compost.
Right.
And we could offer it at a smaller price, but the impact, the dent that we could put in to lessening waste in the landfill, the traveling of the ecological footprint of just composting as a big community can make a nice big dent in what is becoming a very big problem in the world.
Right. Absolutely. No, it has legs everywhere for sure.
Yeah.
And really to get a little on the emotional side of it, or the deeper side of it, is like the more community members involved in programs like this, I feel like the tighter the community becomes.
Yes.
They grow closer. You meet new people that you probably never would have met. Just go to the farmer's market on a Saturday, and I bet you'll see people but you'll also meet people that believe in the same values and principles as you do. And I think that's one of the great things about Prescott is to see, when I first moved here, the farmer's market was down on Cortez and it was like blocked off for a half a block. And now it's in the Dignity Hospital parking lot across from the hospital, right? And it's massive. But I have created great relationships through the farmer's market. Amiee and I have met through the farmer's market. We know people, mutual people that go there all the time. So I'm a big fan of the compost program, and I really, I have a big vision. I know Amy's on board with it too. She's helping find some grants, and we're working close with the farmers market.
Right.
I'm kind of excited to maybe push out some more like intimate private dinners created by myself or the chefs, where people can actually come up, public members and staff members can like buy tickets or something to come and have these amazing dinners and sit in this amazing place. I think that's down the road a little bit. I think we have some big,
that's exciting.
Big pillars to climb up, but I don't know. There's just so many fun things we can do. And
I remember that we were talking one of these days, and you mentioned to me that there's a challenge or something coming up at some point that we're going to just kind of hint to it now. But tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So in this whole process, there's so many great opportunities and things that the college offers for students, for faculty, for staff, from, the mental health part of it to just wanting to be a better person and what's that look like. And there's so many things that tie into it. So Kelly Porter and I got together and started creating this health and wellness challenge. She is the drug and alcohol prevention director, and I might have butchered her title, but you get the idea.
We get the gist.
Yeah. So we're working together, and it's a collaboration between the culinary services, because there's a nutritional component, a big nutritional component, and there's a mental and addiction kind of component to it. There's a physical component to it. It all started with a challenge that I did about a year ago. And then working here and hearing about all these different kind of parts of the college that offer different things. Right. And the idea just started to flow from there. Nice. So it's going to launch in the springtime. We were going to do it over the fall, and I couldn't get pulled away from what we were going through. And so we pushed it back until the spring. Right. And I think that was a smart choice. So
that's going to look like a college-wide or maybe even community-wide.
Yep.
Health.
Yeah.
Health and wellness challenge.
Fitness, all types of challenge to get everyone involved.
So it's open to faculty, staff, and students. It's a 6-week challenge. Every day there's these daily, what we call level ups, task very simple task, like walk for 5 minutes outside, 10 minutes, and it increases every week by just a couple minutes. Read a book, reach out to somebody that you're thinking about and tell them you care about them. Like really simple, achievable task. I think the baseline, the bottom line of it is like accomplish these tasks in the face of adversity or challenges, and it will lead to creating resilience in the future, so that when there is a challenge in your life, you can kind of recenter yourself and face those challenges with a little bit more strength.
I love it. I love how it's not just, these are some of the goals that you're sharing here with me for the Eatery and the community. So it's not just about making food back there, going right into all of these other areas, the development of composting. Sorry, I butchered that word there.
Composting.
Thank you. With partners and community and wellness challenges. I mean, the Eatery is much bigger than just a cafeteria.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the connection, right? Is like, you know, when we eat healthy and we take care of ourselves, we perform better as a human being, as an athlete, as a student, as a staff member, as a faculty. And it's such a great opportunity that we have these skill sets that we can use to help others, you know, and that's like, it's a beautiful thing to me. And I love that part of it. And at the same time, it's like, I know when we're done with this, Amiee and I will touch base and I'm off to help do a catering for tonight. Like, it's just ever changing. And, but we have these like goals set ahead that keep us driving that way.
That's incredible. That's super awesome. Well, lesson learned. Anything that we can share here for our first anniversary of the Eatery? Anything you guys want to share? Especially maybe like advice that for future entrepreneurs, you know, like we have our culinary program and chefs being made and prepared to enter the workforce, and advice you would like to give these entrepreneurs looking to start a food service business or a college on and off a college campus. Anything that you guys want to share?
I think number one is to understand that the landscape of culinary and restaurants is changing. So we are at the forefront of taking in consideration our ecological footprint, sourcing locally, and then making sure that we're dealing with capturing edible food waste. And all of these practices are creeping into this industry. And my advice to anybody thinking of going this route is to really double down on that. And part of that, the second piece of advice is pay attention to your branding. Branding's going to get you everywhere. And a lot of what Tony and I are doing, yes, it comes from the heart. This is what we believe in, but it's also, we're branding the Eatery to be a leader in this. So pick something that resonates with you and then make that your brand going forward.
I love it.
I don't have as good advice as Amiee, but I will echo what she's saying. And you know, whether it's in the culinary world or whatever we do in life, it's, you know, if you believe in something and you feel that it's the right thing you should be doing for the people around you, go for it. And
right. There's one thing you kind of talked about throughout all these different questions here. You always kind of almost like started with, I couldn't do this without the people around me. So there's that aspect of starting a business like this, the amount of time and resources that you have to dedicate to nurturing, keeping, preparing, empowering people around you to be able to deliver this vision that you have, right, for the business. Is that an important factor?
Yeah, I think so. I think when we hired our first initial staff, it was, these are the guidelines, but you have the freedom within those guidelines to be creative, to be supportive of one another and work together as a unit. We're just here to make sure you're staying in those guidelines. And like the 3 pillars that Amiee mentioned earlier, I think in that's given our staff the freedom to do that. And with that, I feel like they've got on board with our sustainable practices. You know, when we started the compost program, it was really hesitant for the staff to to collect pre-consumer waste. So like vegetable scraps and fruit scraps and that kind of thing. We have a great program called Lean Path, where we're actually measuring all our food waste or repurposed waste. It took a little bit of time for people to get on board with that. And all we simply did was, we need you to do this. And they were resistant, like any kitchen crew would be. But as they gotten into the habit of it. Now they're almost like believing in it, and
Right.
they're following it. And I think that's, if that's advice in itself, like give your team whatever resources they need and support them and give them guidelines to follow, and they'll be with you.
They'll deliver.
Yeah.
Well, this sounds amazing. I'm excited about the future of the Eatery and then all these different new programs. I'm sure that we're going to have to talk again sometime soon here to catch up on, how all these things are going. But thank you for sharing, the inside view of what the Eatery looks like, feels like, the plans and the amount of work that you guys put in to make all this happen.
Yeah.
We're very thankful for this space, for this food, and for you too, making it so special and so focused in the future and so contemporary and righteous. It just feels so good in here. Like I'm a big fan, as you can probably tell at this point.
He just set our tone for the day.
That's right. We're going to do great things. And even if it's one day at a time, it's, we're going to do great things and set a good model. And like Amiee mentioned, like the support of the ELT, our staff has been incredible through.
Yeah.
A majority of them have stuck with us through the thick of it. Being able to do this podcast, like the support of the college in itself has been something that has been a solid foundation, I think, for both of us in continuing going, even when sometimes it's like, man,
yeah,
it's hard work.
It is hard work. We need you guys big time, and I think the support is so needed. You are part of this team. You are part of the YC community, and that's what we're excited about. So I think before, if I'm not wrong, the restaurant wasn't. It was more of an outsourced.
Yes.
And now we feel like, okay, this is us. This is our people in the kitchen.
Yep.
So we got to give you guys the support that you need to make this happen, because we all benefit from it.
Yeah.
It's not selfish. All right. Well, we're close to the end here. We spent quite a bunch of time with you guys, and I really appreciate. Thank you again for taking the time to talk to us about all the different things that we touched here today. I want to close this with almost like a call to action. Just get people in here so they can try all the different things that we talked about here. Your personal favorites. What are your personal favorite dishes from the menu, and why? And go.
Let me start.
Yeah.
Well, I'll start with the smash burger, because I think that's one thing I speak humbly, but I brought to the table, if you will. Before I started working at the college, I was doing smash burgers at the market on Saturdays. And I got quite a following. I mean, the market.
You did.
Yeah. The market.
I tried to get once. I tried to get my burger, but the line was too long, and I'm like, I can't wait. I haven't had breakfast yet.
Yeah, there were mornings where I would sell out by like 9:30.
Nice.
And it's like, well, who's getting a burger at 9:30?
Well,
so, that one will always be a close one to my heart. I think my second favorite is the pizzas, and it goes back to it starts with our talented pastry chef Justin Chalk, his bread starter that he created, and then the Hayden Mills flour that we use that is coming up from Phoenix. That just those three things make that pizza. You could just bake that crust and eat the crust just as it is, no toppings.
That's how it should be, right?
Those are my two top favorites.
Love it. So again, it's the smash burger.
Yeah, or it's called.
What is it called?
It's called the Rodney.
What's on the menu?
It's called the Rodney Burger.
The Rodney Burger, yes. Which, by the way, I'm going to just put a little request here, maybe for the future. Your Tony's Reuben.
Oh yeah.
Still my favorite, man.
Well, thanks.
That was. I mean, I couldn't. Every time I went to the restaurant where that was available, it was my order. I would look through the menu thinking, maybe I'm going to try something different today. But I'm like, I kept just going back to it. Okay, I'm going to order the Reuben.
Thanks.
That was the best. But I tried your burger, and it's really incredible.
That's awesome.
Okay, Amiee, your favorite.
Well, because I am so ingrained in seasonal food, I'm not going to pick an item, a specific item, rather. I'm into eating green chili right now because it is green chili season.
Yeah.
And it is showing up on our menu. And I grew up going to New Mexico, and it has a special place in my heart. So anything green chili right now is what I'm after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything green chili. All right.
Yes.
And that's on the menu right now.
Yes, we have a green chili burger. It's showing up in a sandwich that we have made as well.
Yep.
And then yesterday they made a green chili beef stew for our soup that was amazing. And so,
And it shows up in some breakfast items as well.
breakfast items.
Well,
yeah.
I've got some meetings now at around noon. I know where I'm taking these meetings.
Please.
Again, you guys, thank you so much.
Yeah.
This is super fun. And there's just so much to talk about.
There is. We
the
could
eatery.
probably talk.
I prepared a list because I felt like I was curious about too many aspects of this business and how, it all came together so well and so quickly. And I was right. Yeah, you guys have a lot going on here, a lot more going on in the future. So we'll have to come back and kind of record episode 2 of the Eatery.
Yeah, please
All
do.
right.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Cadu.
Any final thoughts? Anything else before we say goodbye?
Our door is an open policy. So if people do have feedback or need to talk about nutritional things or want to know more about sustainability or working out, like I love talking about working out too. So
They know where to find you.
Yeah, our offices are right here next to the Eatery, and we kind of have an open door policy in being available to speak to anybody, or you'll find us in the kitchen.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think I'm really grateful to the students and staff and faculty. It's always helpful to receive little emails thanking us for the special that we put out that day, or just the positive reinforcement, because sometimes it gets a little gritty being in the middle of it. And when you get that excitement for what you're doing, it just makes you more excited to do better. So thank you.
Awesome. I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks again. I appreciate your time, both of you, Amiee and Tony, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cadu.
Thank you for tuning in to the YCNU podcast. We hope you enjoyed our conversation today. Don't forget to follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got someone in mind for our next chat? Reach out and let us know. Until next time, keep exploring, and we'll see you next week.